Alright, hello everyone, this is Jay again. This is going to be my update video number 3 for progress with my isometric farming game for my entry into the CoCoFEST contest from the CoCo crew for CoCoFEST. A lot of Cocos there. And I just want to start this video real quick just to show you some of the things I've been using where I get information different places on the internet to help me make the game. So obviously you got the Coca Crew podcast web page or Facebook page where everything's being posted. Also, I'll go here to show you this is my um, blog post or my blog page, I guess, on WordPress for the game. So you're more than welcome to go there and check that out as well. There is more information, more in-depth information and thought process that I put in the blog that you don't necessarily get by watching the video. So I encourage everybody to go check that out. So some of the things here that I use. So there's calc.penji.com is what I use for my calculator if I'm trying to figure out, especially when I'm doing particularly when I'm doing assembly, when I was doing excuse me, when I was doing the bit transformations with ands and ors and such to find out what values I should be getting, or if I want to work through a particular value and see what the result should be. This calculator is very handy for that. Here's the Lance Leventhal book that is available on the Internet Archive. If you guys want to go check that out, that if you see here, this is the area where it talks about the compare function. It shows you that you can use the BHI, BHS, BLS, or BLO with compare. There are only 4 that will work reliably all the time. And that's where I found that information I talked about in the last video when I had the issue with some of the white dots, and I couldn't quite figure out why they were appearing where they were, and that was essentially the crux of it, or at least a good part of why it was doing that. Then there is this page, which is clintbellinger.net. This is an article, general article about isometric programming, how isometric grids are drawn, and how to get them to appear correctly. Right here is probably the crux of the whole what you're trying to do. So essentially, everything gets referenced from a square um, grid like this, with a 0, 0 in a corner, and then of course you got your columns that go this way, your rows go this way. Then that square is turned on its side. So up here would be your, on this particular projection, the way he has it, it looks like this would be your columns and this would be your rows, which I believe is the same way my game ends up being. Columns and rows. Yeah, I believe that's the same way. So essentially, the the grid gets transformed into that. So anytime you're looking at where a particular item is on the play screen, uh, behind the scenes, everything's getting referenced back to this square, non-isometric square grid, and that allows you to have a base for basically where everything gets figured off of, and then you can just do math from that point to make everything work out on screen. Um, so that's that. The other thing that I'm using, there's a page, this exstructus.com. Um, there's a, it says it's for Australia color palette, although from what I can see, I'm not quite sure what's specific about it that's Australia, other than maybe the guy who wrote this is from Australia. He has some stuff here about the Australian Color Computer 3, but essentially these palettes I've found out to be accurate for MAME on my computer here. I don't know if you actually run it on a composite monitor. I haven't tried yet. If you're going to get the same colors, I'm hoping we will. We'll see when I'm going to try that. We'll see what comes out. And then down here, this is for VCC and this is for MAME, and you can see the colors are slightly different between the two. Which one's more true to the color computer, I don't know. Maybe somebody out there knows, but as far as I know, you know, I'm using the MAME composite colors, and they are accurate with MAME as I see them, so that's the one I'm referencing. What I will be doing eventually is going in and substituting, well, not substituting, but creating an RGB color palette that is as close as I can get it to basically mimic this color palette, so that no matter which mode you're displaying in, you're going to get a relatively consistent color. As you can see, the colors are not the same necessarily between the two. There are some that are close, but don't have all the options. So, I'm gonna have to, basically figure that out as I go along. So that's, like I said, all the tools that I use. Let's go in and I'll show you where I'm at in the game itself. Let me move that out of the way. I'm gonna have to. Well, let me see here. I have to make a new thing here real quick. Let's see what I get. Don't know if I'm going to get my commands. Yes, I am. Excellent. So, it's already been compiled, so I should be able to just start it up. Okay, so as before, this is just MAME running with the Color Computer 3 emulator. So the first screen that was shown in the previous video, I just have turned off right now, just so I don't have to see it every time I start up the game. But it's still there. It still does the same thing as it did before. It did change it a little bit, got rid of the rainbow shape and changed the wording a little bit to be more accurate towards what I'm doing, but essentially the same idea as what it was before. So as you can see, the view in the upper left-hand corner has changed quite a bit. What I have now is the green background, which represents just general grass color. And then each pixel, or I'm sorry, each tile starts out with this grass texture with the yellow dots, which are representing like dandelions and weeds and such. So it's just a piece of ground that's not been prepared for planting or anything. It's just kind of grown over, but it's been marked off to be part of your garden, part of your farm. So, so what I've gone and done is I've tied the cursor into keyboard movements. So right now, I have UD, R, and L for up, down, right, and left. And essentially, I can move this cursor anywhere in the grid with those 4 directions. There is only 4. I don't have 8 directions of movement. I may implement that at some point, particularly if I decide to tie a joystick control into the game, which I may do, because I think I could run the entire game from a joystick, which would be pretty cool. But I haven't gone there yet. If I do, then I'm going to have to find out a way to implement the 8 directions on a keyboard that makes sense for people that aren't using keyboard or aren't using joystick. So as you can see, the cursor right now is red, And I have 6 different cursor modes. So I have red, which as you can see matches the color for the tomato. Then green, which matches the melon. Orange for pumpkin. And then the yellow for gourd. Then the next mode is pink, which is the plow mode. So P, pink, plow. Plus it stands out really well, so that's one reason I picked it. And then the next one is purple, a purplish color, which is your harvest cursor. So those are the 6 cursors that the game has. By pressing the space bar, it will cycle through all those colors until I feel like stopping to press. One at a time, obviously. And then if I want to select it, I use the enter key to select the function of that particular cursor. So the way the game's set up is, in order to plant a crop, you have to have a plowed tile. So these tiles currently are grown over, they're not plowed. So if I hit enter with any color cursor up other than the plow cursor, so you can see I got green, orange, yellow, I'm hitting enter, nothing's happening. Harvest, nothing's happening. Red, nothing happens. But if I go to my plow cursor and hit it, it gives me a brownish colored plot, which is the plowed look of the tile when it's been plowed. And then I can basically continue on and plow until my heart's content. And that's basically how the plow works. Now that they're plowed, the software won't let me harvest because nothing to harvest. It's not the, I essentially have a boolean, well, it's not a boolean, it's actually a byte, but I use it as a boolean um, that I call is plowed. So I can check that condition of is plowed for each tile in an array that I created in a structure, and if it's is plowed, then it's allowed to do, then certain cursor functions will work, and if it doesn't have is plowed as true, then most functions won't work except for the plow cursor itself. So what I can do is I can come in here and I can draw and plant each of the crop types. As you can see, that's tomato, melon, pumpkin, and gourd. Right now it's just a splotch of color for each of the 4. My next thing is going to be to implement some sort of actual bitmap that shows the crop at its beginning stage, and then I'm going to have basically 3 stages of growth after that, and you won't be able to harvest until it reaches the last stage. Although, at any stage if you want, so if I come to, let's go back up to one of these that's already been planted. If I try to go to and harvest, it won't let me harvest because it doesn't meet the right condition in the software, in the code, to allow the harvest to happen. But if I want to, I can, just like you could in real life, I can plow pretty much at any time that I want, which is the way it should be, although something else to be careful of, to make sure you're on the right tile when you're playing the game so that you don't plow under a crop that you've paid to plant and now you're not going to be able to harvest. So, but that's how that works. See if there's anything I show you. I showed you the crops being planted. I showed you how to plow from initial game tile, how you can plow the crops at any point if you want to. Harvesting's not working well. It's in the code right now, but since the tiles don't exist yet for the other states of growth, the way the code's set up, the harvest only works if it's into stage 3 of growth, and since I don't have those tiles, and I don't have a timing system yet to basically, determine the growth rate of all the crops, then they essentially they don't grow right now, and they're not going to get to any type of maturity so that you could harvest them. So the harvest function, like I said, is coded, and eventually that will get tied in, and obviously I'll have to troubleshoot that and make sure that it's working properly. But that's the basic idea of how the harvest will work. And then obviously when you harvest something with the purple cursor, um, that will make your storage numbers down here go up as you harvest. And then once that's done, then I'm going to go over here and implement the selling point so that you can sell what you harvest, and then that will sell for whatever value it currently is worth, and will update your cash value. What I'm planning on doing is I'm going to have the game, once I get, like I said, once I get the time base established and figure out what that's going to look like, then I'm going to have all 4 seasons for, obviously spring, summer, fall, and winter. You'll be able to plant year round, and the crops will grow year round. However, I'm going to set it up so that certain crops grow at different speeds at different times of the year, and the selling point is going to be looking for certain crops at certain times of the year as well. So, for instance, say a tomato would probably be more popular in the summer, so it will have a higher price in summer, whereas a pumpkin and a gourd would have a higher sell value in the fall and winter, around around Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving and like Halloween time. And then the melon, I'm not quite sure where that's going to fall in as far as when its high price might be, but might make that like winter or something, just so that there's kind of something for everything. Um, so that's going to fall into your, depending on how fast something grows. So you might have where a tomato may grow um, pretty well in spring, really well in summer, but you want to have it to sell in summer. So you may want to plant it in spring so that you have it for summer, so that you can get the best sell price for it. Same thing with pumpkins and gourds. You probably want to plant those in the fall, or maybe, depending on how it works out, maybe plant those in summer, the summer season, where they may not grow as well in summer, may grow best in the fall, but you might want them to be able to sell them in the fall, because that might be when the best price is. So all the timing of all when you plant, and when you anticipate everything being full grown, so that you can put it in storage and then sell it. Now the other thing that could happen as well, depending on how good I end up making the AI, you could grow, say, tomatoes in summer one year, and since I'm not going to simulate spoilage, at least not. That's a thought. Maybe I can think about spoilage depending on where I get to the game as far as the time frame I got to get it finished in. But in either case, you could grow tomatoes summer one year, and then hold on to them to sell them the next year in summer when they're the highest price. That way you're getting the best growth when you're growing them, and you're getting the best price when you're selling them. So, but obviously you have to wait an entire cycle to sell them. So the AI may be making money in that time frame and end up making enough money to beat you while you're waiting to sell your crop. So that's something we'll figure out as the game timing comes together, to find out if that's something that makes sense to do, or how you want to play that out. So I think that's about everything I want to cover here. Let's see what my time is at. I don't want to have this going on too. It's almost 20 minutes now, so. So I think I covered where I'm headed with this. Showed you everything where it is as far as how stuff's working, and yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. And pretty happy with the progress I've made. I've only been working on this since, when was it, Saturday, I guess, when the contest started. So less than a week, and I got quite a bit done. Mostly, well, Saturday and Sunday I put in quite a bit of time, both days, and then a couple hours a night during the week so far, and gotten it to this point. So for my first attempt at a game like this, uh, certainly on this platform, um, pretty happy with it so far. So we'll see where I end up, and if I can get feeling pretty decent about getting the game to at least some state of finished uh, before it has to be done. But we'll see where that ends up. Once I implement the storage and the selling, uh, like I said, I'm going to leave the AI to last, and so that if um, for some reason I can't get the AI worked out to the way I like it, I can just scratch the AI, and then the game would just be basically a race against time to see how fast you can get to the number before you know from basically one attempt to the next, and see if you can get faster and faster, and what your fastest time could be for finishing. Um, but I'll worry about that when I get further down the road. So that's it, and thanks for watching. As I showed in the beginning of the video, you can go to my blog. I'm going to make a blog post after this video. Um, and like I said, there's usually more in-depth information there than what is in this video, although I did go pretty in-depth in the video, and that's why it ran a little bit longer than probably what I wanted to go. So check that out, and let me know what you think. Please leave comments either on YouTube or in the Facebook or on my blog. I am looking for some suggestions for a name for the game. So if you have any ideas what a good name for the game might be, let me know. Um, and also, if there's anybody that's good at doing drawing sprites in this type of size uh, for my crops, that I'm not a great artist. So if you're something that you like doing, that you're good at, and you'd be willing to donate some sprites to me for this project, let me know, and maybe we can get together and work something out. Obviously, I'll need them done relatively quickly, so just be aware that there's going to be it's a close-in time frame that they'll need to be completed so I can put them in the game. All right, that's it. Thanks, and I will see you next video.